January 12th, 2021. Yes, 2021 regular but still remote meeting of the Burlington Board of Health to order. You know, my first meeting was in 1989, 2021. It's been now 11 months that we've been meeting remotely. I have no predictions, nor does anyone else, when we'll be able to go live. I really must admit that I miss seeing everybody in person. We have 2 vaccines, third coming. We've begun vaccinating today, but as you are aware, we're now also in a large COVID surge. At a minimum, we ask people to wear their masks, social distance, stay away from large groups, and our physician member will tell you to wash their hands is one of the most important things we can do. Board member Libby Wallenjevitz will, as she does every meeting, represent everyone in her reciting of the Pledge of Allegiance. Libby, please. Did we lose Libby?
No, Libby's on mute.
Libby, are you on mute?
Not anymore. Sorry.
Okay.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much, Libby.
You're welcome.
I am Ed Weiner, and I'm chairman. And with me remotely is our vice chair, David McSweeney, Dr. Wayne Saltzman, Libby Wallenjevitz, and Mary Beth Welch. Also with us tonight, I should note, is Susan Luminello, who is the Director of Public Health, our environmental engineer, Christine Mathis, our health agent this evening is Marlene Johnson. Who else do we have here tonight? Oh, our Board of Health Administration leader, Sarah Quartermash. And is Dawn Cathcart with us this evening? Yes, I see her. Dawn Cathcart, our recording secretary. Thank you for all of the things that you do, and thank you for being here tonight. In addition, as I do every meeting, I want to thank our outstanding BCAT professionals who work so hard to make this program and all other news programs within our community available. We are still in a declared state of emergency with special rules for public meetings. Our vice chair, Mr. McSweeney, will provide the legal requirements for tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12th, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the Open Meeting Law, General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 20, and the Governor's March 15th, 2020 order imposing strict limitations on the number of people that may gather in one place, this meeting of the Burlington Board of Health is being conducted via remote participation. No in-person attendance of members of the public will be permitted, but every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings as provided for in those orders. A reminder that persons who would like to listen to or view this meeting while in progress may do so by tuning into BCAT Government Cable Access Channel, the BCAT Government Meeting Facebook Live feed, or over the phone at 408-418-9388, meeting number 179-596-1958. That's phone number 408-418-9388. Meeting number 179-596-1958. We will also be monitoring the comments on Facebook Live to see if there are any that the board may wish to address. And as a reminder to the board that all votes are required to be done by roll call during the virtual meeting. And with that, I'll turn it back to the chair.
Thank you, Mr. McSweeney. Again, we know that we are live on BCAT and available for comments and questions during this great video technology. Everyone, remote meetings and chairing remote meetings are not easy. Preparation is many times more than in-person meeting. Please understand we're doing the best we can. We're all in this together. We have minutes from November and December to approve. First, November 24th, 2020. I know you all have them. Are there any omissions, corrections, or additions?
Motion to approve, Mr. Chair.
Second.
I have a motion to approve by Dr. Wayne Saltman, second by Libby Wallen-Jevitz. All in favor? Aye. I will call it. David McSweeney,
Aye.
Dr. Wayne Saltzman,
Aye.
Libby Wallen-Jevitz,
Aye.
Mary Beth Welch,
Abstain.
and I vote aye, so it is 4-0-1 done. Thank you. We also have minutes from December the 8th. Are there any omissions, corrections, or additions? If not, I'd like a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
So I have a motion by Dr. Wayne Saltzman, second by our Vice Chair, David McSweeney. All in favor? David,
Aye.
Dr. Wayne,
Aye.
Libby,
Aye.
Mary Beth,
Aye.
and I vote aye, 5-0. Thank you very much. Citizens' time. Is there anybody, I know some people will be watching tonight, but if there's anybody on this call that would like to address the board who is not on tonight's agenda, please let me know. I'll also ask our administrator, Dawn, or rather Sarah Kodamash. Is there anybody there? No?
There's no one on Facebook.
Thank you very much. So we'll move on. Chairman's report. We haven't met in a month, so I have a lot to do, and we have a lot of different people on the call today. So I'll do a little review that I haven't done in a meeting or two. I tell everyone, and it's something that you all know, that these times are very extraordinary. And myself and my board colleagues and our professional staff know that the coronavirus and COVID-19 cannot go away fast enough. We continue to face so many never to be seen challenges, but the Board of Health is meeting all of these challenges head on using a lot of innovative plans that we've developed a long time ago. For most of you know, in addition to what we need to do in this town to keep everyone safe, we have to perform that of a public health organization. And that includes a lot of things, including town development, some of which we will talk about tonight: drainage, sewer, site plans, subdivisions, environmental issues, health inspections, biotechnology permitting, communicable disease reviews and actions. I talk a lot about our Burlington Medical Reserve Corps, 250 strong, which assists this board in many ways. We've had regular meetings, and I talk to members of the school committee and our town leadership all the time. And I know our staff, just look at the reports tonight of how many complaints that they have to respond to within the community. Yeah, our board continues to be in the forefront, and I want to thank everybody who has done so much for our community. And yes, for the last, I don't know how many weeks, 40, 50 weeks, our staff and board members have been over the top busy. I want to talk about a few things of real significance that's fallen on your now full-time employee, 24/7 chairman, not to mention my full-time vice chair. David McSweeney and I did a presentation to our town financial and leadership group last week. We also did a presentation and presented to the Ways and Means Subcommittee, which just to note, rather, they're in full support of our position that we are going to the town meeting for. I did an interview even with NPR a couple of weeks ago. I had 2 interview sessions with the Burlington Union, both over an hour long. And today, I'm so proud we completed our first COVID-19 vaccination clinic. And this will continue twice more this week and twice more next week. We are vaccinating with the Moderna vaccine. And to let people, I represented the board today, and I will at each program that's coming up. Tomorrow, David and I will do a presentation and a panel discussion for BCAT. Lots going on. Again, I want to thank you all for all that you do behind the scenes. Thank you for your commitment. This board has been very busy. Our professional staff has been over the top. I'm going to do something a little different. Does anyone have any questions or any comments before we move on really to our next topic? If not, great, I'll move ahead. I would like to take out of order our kennel permit. Is the kennel permit individuals on this call? Who is going to be presenting that?
This is Susan. So they were notified of the meeting, and it was my understanding that they were going to be on the call. However, I don't think it's necessary for them to be here for you actually to move forward. Samantha Hardy, our Associate Health Inspector, did an inspection of the property and had no
Well, Susan,
objection.
let me move this. Susan, let me ask for a motion, please, to move. Could I please have a motion to move the discussion of 18 Hillsdale Avenue kennel recommendation
So moved.
out of the agenda?
So moved.
Do I have a motion?
Second.
Motion by Libby Wallen Jeffers, second by Mary Beth Welch. All in favor, David McSweeney,
Aye.
Dr. Wayne Saltzman,
Aye.
Libby Wallen Jevitz,
Aye.
Mary Beth Welch,
Aye.
and I vote aye, 5-0. So let's now, Susan, please go ahead.
Yes, so Samantha Hardy, our Associate Health Inspector, did an inspection at the property, and the property owners have 4 dogs. Although she didn't go inside the home, she did inspect the backyard area where the dogs are let out. It's a fenced-in area. She had no objections to the board voting in favor of this kennel license recommendation.
Okay, do we have any recommendation or from the animal control officer? Does he have any objection, do you know of?
I do not know. He has no, he weighs in separately from us. We haven't talked to him about the property.
Okay, so we really don't need his input. Well, thank you very much. So, does anybody have any questions for Susan Luminello?
Just one question, Mr. Chairman. So Susan, on these, are there neighbors that get notified? I don't think there are, right? But have you heard any complaints or anything that there's any issue with this? I don't have a problem with that. I was just curious if there was any neighbors.
We haven't gotten any complaints or questions or anything from neighbors of this property. So this is for 1 year as well. So if we do get complaints in the next year, we would bring them back to the board, and then the board could vote to not be in favor of the next year's license.
Thank you. I'm good, Mr. Chairman.
Move to approve?
Okay,
And I'll second.
I have a motion by Dr. Wayne Smoltz to approve. I think it was seconded by Mary Beth Welch. There's no other discussion. All in favor? David McSweeney,
Aye.
Dr. Wayne Saltzman,
Aye.
Libby Wallen-Jevitz,
Aye.
Mary Beth Welch,
Aye.
and I vote aye, 5-0. Susan, would you send them I guess it's the town clerk is the person that you send notification. Is that correct?
That's correct, yep.
Thank you very much. Okay, moving right along, right on time. I said 7:15. We discussed 18 Hillsdale Avenue, but before that, I have a subcommittee report. Special permit. Mr. McSweeney, do you want to wait until we get involved into the discussion with 60 Blanchard Road?
Yeah, I think we can move it to the
Or
application.
do you want to give it-
No, I think we can move it to the application. I think a lot of the questions will get answered during the overview, and then I can chime in on the subcommittee.
Okay, and Mr. McSweeney, you said that you'd like to say something about what the expectations were for this evening,
Say again, Mr. Chairman, I missed that.
that we would be just,
Yeah, today's for
you
discussion.
mentioned that you would like to say something earlier.
Yeah, no. I was just that today's for discussion purposes only. I don't think we received the recommendations from from Christine, from the environmental engineer, at this point. So I think it's for discussion purposes and to fill the board in on the overview, and then we're going to vote on it the next meeting, I believe.
Okay. Yes, that's from what I have read, and you all just disappeared and just came back, so I lost you all. Yeah, I see you. Okay, so who is going to be presenting this? Is that going to be our environmental engineer? Or is that going to be Susan?
It's Christine. Christine, I think you're on
Christine,
mute.
you gonna- Christine, are you there?
Christine Mathis or?
Yes, I'm here.
Christine
Sorry.
Mathis.
Okay.
Sorry, I couldn't unmute myself.
I didn't want to put you in on the spot, Christine. Christine Mathis.
So, Azure is proposing to occupy an existing building at 60 Blanchard Road. They'll be doing significant interior renovations and some exterior modifications. A little bit of stormwater management updates, some parking changes, adding a loading dock, and a couple of utility pads. On the inside of the building, they're proposing to lease out clean rooms to individual companies, but maintain some of the central functions with Azure employees and staff for those individual tenants. They're proposing to do things like centralized health and safety, centralized chemical management, and I'll let Christine Kay from Azure get more into that, and or Christine Hung after this brief overview. So the board, as you said, we had a subcommittee on it and heard some of their proposals. I just, at the beginning of the weekend, received all of their in-house plans for the Burlington facility. I have not finished reviewing those yet. It's some 250 pages of materials. It does include emergency action plans, biological safety manual, exposure control plan, chemical hygiene, safety, health, and chemical labeling, and receipt and control of materials. So there's quite a comprehensive set of plans yet to be reviewed, on which I can then formulate recommendations for the board's next meeting. So with that overview, I guess we'll turn it over to Azure representatives and or their attorney and consultants to fill in the gaps.
Thanks, Christine. And good evening, Mr. Chair, members of the board. For the record, Christine Hung from Reamer and Bronstein, attorney for the applicant Azure Clean Rooms on Demand Burlington LLC. With me tonight as part of the development team, I have from Azure, Christine Crozier, who is the senior director at Azure Burlington Clean Rooms on Demand, and Ravi Samavidam, who is the president of Azure. Frank DePietro from BSC, our site civil engineer, is also with us, And we have other members of the development team, and they can introduce themselves as, as a need arises when questions arise. As Christine M. was saying, Azure is a national life science consulting and project management company that supports early phase, small scale life science industry manufacturers through its program of clean rooms on demand. This program leases clean room to its clients and Azure provides technical support to ensure that clients are in compliance with regulatory requirements and industry best practices during their manufacturing processes. And this basically allows the clients to focus on the science while Azure focuses on the technical aspects such as the compliance and facility maintenance, which ultimately is a benefit because it accelerates the product speed to the marketplace. Each of the client engages Azure to create a custom scope of work to support their early phase manufacturing processes. And this means that Azure is in complete control of the receipt of all the chemicals and materials, the storage, the distribution, and ultimately the disposal of these chemicals. Azure is a national company, as I said, and they presently operate such a clean room on demand in Waltham, and they're looking to expand here in Burlington at 60 Blanchard. And as Christine Mathis mentioned, they're going to be doing some internal fit out work as well as some exterior site modifications. As Christine mentioned, parking and utilities and some loading bays. And so we have applied to the planning board for various special use permits as well as a minor engineering change. We opened up before the planning board this last Thursday night, and that hearing went very well. Just by way of background as well, we had a DCM meeting with all the department heads. We had a Board of Health subcommittee meeting, and lots of very good questions were raised by everyone at the subcommittee meeting. So with that, I will turn it over to Christine Crozier from Azure, and she can go into a little more detail about the operations. After Christine speaks, we can then turn it over to Frank DePietro, and he can walk you through some of the site plan modifications as well. And then we're happy to answer any questions that the board may have. Thank you very much.
Christine, before you move on, just two things. 3 members of our board, this is the first time they have a real opportunity of seeing this live. And you have a very, very professional and prestigious group along with you, which includes Frank. But anyway, but I before they speak, would they just give them a quick background, maybe 2 lines, because I think it's a very prestigious background, and we'll know what we're dealing with.
Sure.
With these. Okay. I want the board to know that what Azure is made up of. Okay. Thank you. So who is next?
My name is Christine Crozier, just to follow in the lines of Christine. By way of introduction, I've been hired as the Senior Director for the Burlington facility. I have a PhD in pharmaceutical biology. I have degrees in microbiology and biochemistry. I did my postdoctoral fellowship here in Boston at the Forsyth Institute and at the Harvard School of Dental Medicine. I've overseen core facilities, so research cores where the local laboratories or local research partners would send their samples and we would provide information to them. I also most recently ran Tufts Launchpad Biolabs as their site director in downtown Boston. That is an incubator space where we had up to 25 companies co-localized in the same space to support their research and development. That's my background. Would you like the rest of our team to introduce themselves now or as they're answering questions?
What's your call?
How about I continue with the presentation? And you know what? I'm going to stop. We have an impressive team with us. I'm going to ask Ravi Samavidam if he has a moment. He's our president, and he has extensive experience. Ravi, do you have a moment to introduce yourself?
Absolutely. Thank you, Christine. And thank you for the opportunity, members of the board. My name is Ravi Samavedam. I'm the president of Azure Clean Rooms on Demand LLC, which is a nationwide company with various locations, including Burlington, Massachusetts. My education is in biochemical engineering. I have about 20 years of experience in the industry, half of which has been with Big Pharma, Amgen, Baxter, and Shire, and then the other half with smaller startups. I guess my claim to fame is I was the acting head of Moderna Therapeutics when they were pretty small in Cambridge, and the idea of clean rooms on demand actually came from our experiences at Moderna, where we saw firsthand the pains that biotech companies have in terms of space for clinical manufacturing, but also all the other aspects of GMP requirements, such as storage and material handling. There's just not enough of those capabilities in and around Cambridge. So that's how we came up with this idea. And the vision of the business is really to accelerate the clinical life cycle of critical therapies by really clearing these roadblocks, such as manufacturing space and all the associated activities needed to get these critical therapies into clinical trials and eventually in the hands of patients. So sorry for the long-winded introduction, but that's me. Back to Christine.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I also have Josh Foster on the line. He's from Safety Partners. We've engaged them to help build out our EH&S support. If you would like to take a moment and introduce yourself, Josh.
Sure thing. Hey, everybody, members of the board. My name's Josh. Yeah, like Christine mentioned, I'm a consulting safety officer with Safety Partners. I've got about, at this point, 7 years EHS experience. So I actually surprisingly came from Tufts prior as well. So I have a lot of experience in academics, but I also worked a lot in the biotech region when I was doing waste management. So I've worked on kind of both sides of the coin. And yeah, we're here basically to provide EHS service, make sure everything's up to snuff, and make sure everything's at best practices, and we're keeping everybody safe, and we're complying with all the regulations necessary.
Okay.
Thank you, Josh.
Yep.
The last person I think I'd like to introduce is Paul Paldino. He's been recently hired as our operations manager for the facility at Burlington. He brings an extensive experience with him for manufacturing and how to run one of these facilities safely and effectively. Paul, do you have a moment to introduce yourself?
Sure do. So, hello everybody. Paul Paldino. My background is in chemical engineering. I have a degree in chemical engineering. I have over 20 years of experience within manufacturing and facilities, of which I spent the past 6 years of my career as the operations and facilities manager for a company in Massachusetts that manufactured medical devices. In fact, this company is still manufacturing COVID-19 tests, the rapid tests, for one of the larger OEMs. So again, great to be on board on this project. Really looking forward to see what we can do in the town of Burlington.
Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. So I would like to share a slide. Let me pull up the sharing option. Let's see. Can you see my screen? Hello?
Yes, we sure can.
Excellent. What this is a layout map of 60 Blanchard Road, and we've color coordinated the spaces within to discuss the operations of our facility. What we're proposing to do is install 20 modular clean rooms. These are what you see here in the blue in the center of the image. The clean rooms themselves, we have 10 on the upper bank and 10 on the lower bank. These clean rooms are about 768 square feet, with 500 square feet being an ISO 7 core, and the remaining space taking up the ante room and the material and personal airlock. We need support areas to support our clean room spaces, and that is these white spaces surrounding the clean rooms. The white spaces include a gowning area. It includes an access corridor, which is considered a clean corridor, where our clients can enter into their dedicated cleanroom spaces. It also has a return corridor where the staff can enter and return into their street clothes and their standard clothing, and the waste materials can be handled, can be moved to other areas of the facility. Our facility also has, I'm going to start in the top right corner. We are asking for a minor modification to adjust the way the loading docks are. We are asking it to go from a 2 loading dock to a 3 loading dock, so we can dedicate one of our loading docks to waste management, one for shipping and one for receiving. So we would like to have dedicated areas in which to manage the materials. The materials would come into the facility. They would be deboxed, they would be qualified, they would be quarantined, they would be stored in the correct temperature, and all of these processes are done by Azure staff. Other areas of the building we have would be, I'm going to zoom in so you can see it better, as can I. Let me see here. So we've zoomed in, and you can see that we have material airlocks that allow the items into the clean room spaces. We have a debox station where we manage the incoming materials, and we have various storage areas, including freezer farms and ambient storage, as well as refrigerator areas. The other remaining space in the facility is the yellow areas, which are the non-science spaces. These are offices, they're break rooms, conference rooms, a reception area. That is the overview of our facility. So the way this works is our clients, they reach out to Azure and they're looking for space for early phase manufacturing. These clients engage with us, and we have several discussions to understand what their needs are, what their timing is, and what they're looking to produce. If we determine that we can support their activities, we generate a custom scope of work. And in this scope of work, we discuss training with them. All of their staff need to be trained to access the science areas of our facility. We discuss the type of science that they would like to perform in our facility, which currently we see many of our clients are cell and gene therapy clients. So think of these as people making vaccines, or they're making substances that would go into humans, a drug or a medicine. And these clients are discussing with us how they can bring their process from that research and development phase into the manufacturing phase. So they are going to be using single-use consumables, which will enter the facility, and they will bring it into their it will be brought into their clean room, and from there they will do the manufacturing steps within their clean room. Our contracts are on an annual basis, and most of our contracts end up being multi-year. They will produce one or more batches within this space, and they will take those products to the clinic. We help them with their quality control, we help them with their materials management, and we also oversee the facility. So we oversee the security aspect. All of our doors are electronically badged, and to gain access to the area, you have to either be the client specific to that area or have received training, depending on which area of the facility it is. We have cameras throughout the building, and we have very strict policies with regards to what can come into the building, which we control the access because it is received by our staff and it is coded and brought into our inventory system. We are here asking for this umbrella permit so we can handle the operations management of the piece. After we had a really productive subcommittee meeting in December, where I really understood the importance of making sure that our clients know upfront that the work that they do will go before the Board of Health. So we will help teach our clients where to go to fill out the proper forms and to come before the Board of Health and ask for specific permits for their type of science if it requires permitting. So we'll have a regular dialogue going about incoming clients. They must meet in front of you, and they must receive your approval to work out of our space prior to them being brought further into our systems. When that does happen, we'll bring them into the scheduling. We'll help get them qualified into our facility, and they'll be able to begin production in our space. That's a very general overview of what we have planned, and it's a lot of the discussion points we had from December. I would like to hand it over to Frank. Frank, I have a copy of the site plan if that would be helpful to you, or we can answer questions at this time if it would be better to do that first and then move on to Frank's discussion.
Hi, it's Wayne Saltzman. If I could, please, is there a biohazard level limit in your facility?
Absolutely. So as far as chemical management, we are a very small quantity generator. And we control the inventory, so we know the levels at any given time. In our Waltham facility, we have validated vendors who come by. So we have either Stericycle or Veolia or Triumvirate or some combination thereof who come in and they assist us with our management of all materials.
I think that Dr. Saltzman was referring to BSL levels.
Right? Absolutely was. Yes, thank you.
Understood. I'm sorry. I misunderstood the question. We are, the majority of our work is either biosafety level 1 or biosafety level 2. We have yet to have a client apply for anything higher than that. And if they would, this would go before the Board of Health if we were able to support it in our facility long before we would consider going down that road. We would have that discussion.
Great, helpful. Thank you.
Thank you. And that will be a condition, Christine, although it's obvious.
It's understood.
Christine Mathis.
Oh, sorry.
Thank you. I have one other question. So for all intents and purposes, there will be each of your companies, quote unquote, will be part of our and have to apply for the permit for the Board of Health for biotechnology. But I just want to clarify. It's my understanding, and Christine Mathis, please weigh in, that there will be only one application for the hazardous material bylaw permit. Is that correct?
I think that's what we discussed at the subcommittee level and what the intent is. So the hazardous materials registration is a registration process, not a permit process. And since they're doing the control of both shipping and receiving of chemical raw inventory, distribution of those chemicals to the clean rooms, and then management of hazardous waste generated and biological waste generated by their clients, then one HMRF would be appropriate.
Ms. Chair,
That's as part of the process. Okay, just one follow-up, Wayne.
Yeah,
Just
sure.
so part of the process, since you're handling all that as an umbrella organization, do you provide safety training to all of your clients?
Yes, we provide not only standard safety training to all of our clients and our staff that are in those rooms, but we also, we have a Learn About GMP library, which provides a very significant amount of training for the manufacturing processes, the quality management, the raw materials management. We have a whole breadth on top of the safety and materials pieces.
Thank you. Now, Dr. Saltzman, I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Oh, no, I'm sorry to interrupt you, Mr. Chair. How many clients can be, I guess I have two questions just as I was thinking about this proposal. How many clients can be in the center at one time? And are you anticipating that there are permutations of clients which would not be appropriate to have in the center at one time? And are there protocols around, or policies, I'm sorry, around who that would be? I'm just trying to understand the logistics of, I'm thinking simply, like, is this an Airbnb where you have just one client in at a time? Or is it office.com and multiple people can use a boardroom at the same time?
I understand what you're asking. So it is a multi-tenant facility where we have the expectation that more than one client will be on hand at any given time. We allow our tenants to apply for more than one clean room. And in the past, we've seen a lot of interest at a minimum of 2 clean rooms per client. So we estimate we'll have somewhere between 10 and 15 clients who will be working out of the facility at any given time. With that said, they're performing science. And science doesn't follow sort of the standard office rules. They'll come in and they perform a experiment or a process that takes 10 days. And the 10-day process might take up from 8 in the morning until 6 at night, 10 days in a row. And then that product will go into the clinic. It will need to go through the clinical trial. So there may be a lull where they're not utilizing their space. It is still their space though. These are dedicated clean rooms and only one client per time will be in there. As far as our support areas, we'll have calendar systems on them and they'll be available for use for individual clients on an at-need basis.
Thank you.
Does anyone else have any questions for Dr. Christine? I thought that'll work, okay?
That'll work. My kids are going to start calling me that though, so don't say it too loud. It'll be awkward.
Myself and Mr. McSweeney have had an hour and a half to 2 hours with you already, but either Libby, was it clear enough, Libby, or Mary Beth, do you have anything specific? One of the reasons we're being so complete here is we did have a hazardous material death last year in the town, but it was a restaurant. It wasn't a biotechnology facility. So,
I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah. Anyway, it's exciting. Where are we going to go? Frank, I guess you're next.
Okay.
I should pass that along to Ms. Hung. You call it. Where are we going next?
On mute.
You're on mute.
Frank, would you like me to bring up a slide for you?
Sorry
If
about
you
that.
could bring up the site plan, that would be great. Thank you, Dr. Christine. And thank you, Dr. Weiner, for your kind words, although I thought for a second you were going to say, despite Frank DePietro. And I actually started working in Burlington before you were on the Board of Health. So just to give a little bit of background.
But
can you
Frank,
blow that up?
where is your tie? Where is your tie, Frank?
I know, I have to go back to them. I'll get more ties back out. They've been dusty, molding in the closet. So just to orientate folks with the site plan, to the left-hand side is Route 95, 128. To the right-hand side, you'll see a corner of Blanchard Road. The site basically is north to east, north to south. What we're proposing to do really is some relatively minor site modifications. So first off, the existing parking lot, which was probably put in the 70s, was in very bad shape. The curbing was all gone. The pavement was cracked. The drainage system, the little bit that was in there, was not up to current standards. So what we're proposed to do is to essentially rebuild the entire parking lot. About halfway up the parking area where the parking is, we're going to restripe all those spaces and stuff. Right about where the little arrow is, we will be replacing the existing stormwater catch basins with two deep sump and hooded DEP compliant stormwater catch basins, 4-foot sump. We'll basically combine those two catch basins into one double grate catch basin. Downstream of that catch basin, we'll have a water quality unit that will remove the post-suspended solids and oils. If you can switch down, Dr. Christine, to the bottom where the dark green is, we have one catch basin down there. We're going to replace that with, again, a deep sump hooded catch basin, 4-foot sump. That will also flow into a water quality unit and then discharge through the existing pipes into the adjacent wetlands that are shown in the light green. In the area that's dark green, we'll be removing some of the pavement on the site and putting in a water quality swale. It's not a really large area, but essentially there'll be some treatment in the swale of runoff, some little bit of infiltration. It's about 1,270 square feet. We've designed this so that the bottom will have a small little depression where water flowing down can collect. That will then overflow into the catch basin, and that will then go into the catch basin with the deep sump and hood and go through the water quality unit so that we'll be meeting the Mass DEP and the town water quality standards of a minimum of 80% total suspended solids removal. Along with this, we'll be upgrading some of the on-site utilities. So the existing power and telephone is overhead by telephone poles. We will be replacing that, tying into the building with an underground connection up near where the entrance is. We are bringing in 2 new gas lines, 2 6-inch gas lines. They'll connect in at Blanchard Road, tie in. One ties into the building to provide the increased gas required to operate the building. The second one goes to the very end where that little white rectangle is. We are looking to put in a concrete pad. It may initially be used for a emergency generator for the building itself. This will be a gas-fired generator. Ultimately, and maybe sooner versus later, we want to put in a cogen facility that basically is sort of one of these new bio-ready type things that, in fact, will minimize the use and will operate very efficiently and address greenhouse gases. The dark green area to the immediate right of that will be a small outside area that we're looking to basically put a outdoor seating area for staff. It will either be a wooden or permeable paver area with some seating. We're doing things like a new sidewalk into the building, some new siding on the building. We're basically restriping the parking to have 158 parking spaces. The right end corner of the building is where the new loading docks are. And what we're looking to do for that, we're angling them so a truck can pull in. When the parking is not needed, that shaded area is where the truck can pull in, then it can back in. It's facing out. So it basically makes the access for loading and unloading very easy. We are also looking to upgrade some of the on-site lighting and things like that. Relatively minor. There will be a slight decrease in impervious area on the site, and thus a very slight decrease in drainage. Other than that, I'd be happy to ask any other questions you might have, or try to answer them anyways.
So, Mr. Chairman, if I may,
Please.
so Christine, we didn't talk about the site plan at all during the subcommittee, and it sounds like the changes certainly are positive to the site, but are we needing to review those as part of the permit, and or are these considered minor engineering changes where we don't have to weigh in on these at all? You know, because we hear words such as swale and depressions and whatnot, and I just want to make sure that we're not turning a blind eye to that, if you will, because we just overlooked it. That's all.
No, this is Christine Mathis. David, we will be reviewing the minor engineering change along with the special permit for your vote at the next meeting. And I will summarize it in my memo and base it and also include any recommendations that apply to that MEC. I did want to ask Frank, will there be a little bit of infiltration here?
Yes, so that dark green area you saw right down the bottom near Blanchard Road,
Yes.
that's about 1,275 square feet area. So we're looking to have a swale that has some stone, some vegetation. The stone vegetation will have to pick up some pollutants. That area will have a very minimal amount of infiltration. It's our understanding, talking with the LSP, that area is not, I mean, the site is a down gradient MCP site. So this area would be right near where the wetlands, the water's going to go in, and it's about 3 feet down to the wetland. It's going to go basically into the wetland area, not go very deep into the site at all.
Okay,
So Susan, Christine, does that mean I know we had an LSP here last time, but I want to make sure that we get all the questions addressed tonight. Do you feel that anything here on this plan will affect the contamination, which I think is down gradient? Am I right?
contamination is up gradient. It's the
It's up
high
gradient.
voltage engineering and Bellafram site.
Yeah.
We do have an LSP opinion from the LSP for reserve for the 60 Blanchard Road site. One of the conditions, or one of our standard conditions for such a downgraded property status MCP site would be that we also require an opinion from the LSP of record for the high voltage Bellafram site, stating that he's aware of the proposal for this facility and that it will not impact the ongoing groundwater treatment facility at that upgrading site, and it will not impact contamination flowing underneath this site that is originating on the high voltage engineering Balafram site. That contamination is in, it's very deep. It's in bedrock. So this shallow infiltration, I'm nearly positive it won't impact that.
So it's DNAPL at the bedrock, isn't it?
I believe so, yeah.
And just, I did speak, Jim Ash is the LSP of record. I did speak with Jim prior to him writing his letter, so he's aware of what we're proposing for this infiltration area.
Right, but he's not the LSP of record for the high
Oh.
voltage engineering site, so we'll need a second LSP opinion. That it's likely to be a recommendation. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
Does that also answer your question, David?
Yeah, it does. I just want to make sure, because we didn't talk about the site plan and water management at all during the subcommittee. So I just want to make sure that we are addressing it. And I know that that site has some contamination. Just want to make sure we're safe. Just another question. Is this a single level building?
Yes.
Yes.
Is there a basement or subsurface of some sort?
No.
Okay.
No.
Thank you. And this is the only, well, other than the 20
that brings it-
clean rooms, is only,
I know.
you're the only tenant in the building, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
So there will not need to be Christine Mathis, I'm sorry. Christine Mathis, there will not need to be some type of installation of a vapor barrier. Is that correct? Because it's so deep?
I don't know that should be part of an LSP opinion. I'll look at that. I'll have to look at the most recent reports for high voltage engineering Balafram and see the depth. But we can require that to be, provided by the LSP, that opinion in the LSP opinion.
I mean, if it's not a big deal, maybe we should have a vapor barrier, but please speak with the LSP. We want to protect the people who work in there also. Thank you.
Yeah, I would just say, Christine Mathis, that if I'm not overly concerned, but as you're going through it, if you feel like we do need to regroup on a subcommittee before our next meeting to talk through the site plan, I would recommend let's do that. But again, I'm not overly concerned with anything I'm hearing so far.
Well, Christine Hung, Ms. Counselor, I should say Christine Counselor.
Yes.
Where do we go next?
I mean, we can open it up to questions from the board, Mr. Chair. So if any of the board members have questions, we've finished our presentation. So we just open it up to questions now. Or more questions, because I know that questions have been asked during this time. So if there are any additional questions.
Well, I think we're about 95% there tonight. I think we've answered everything. And the only question we have is an LSP environmental engineer issue, although I see our director's raising his hand, but I only see an LSP about if you're going to do a complete rehab, whether you need to put in a vapor barrier or not to make sure that some of that very, very polluted area does not impact people working in there. But I'm not sure if that's true or not. I'll leave that to my professionals. Susan Luminello had a question.
Yes, so I just wanted to thank Christine Kay for her comments about the subcommittee meeting, because that was something that was concerning me. I want to just make sure that it's understood and that they understand when they do a permit application, who was responsible for what with regards to the regulations. So I would recommend that a condition be put in there that Azure is responsible for ensuring that all clients receive a permit from the Board of Health before they occupy the space. So if we could add that comment in there just to make sure that we don't have somebody in the process of getting a permit in the space and then not being able to follow through with getting the permit for whatever reason. Because if you do look at the regulations, some of the things are going to be under reserve to provide, and that would be mainly the facilities and the emergency plan.
And I
For
can work
Christine,
with Christine Mathis to draft that condition that will go. I can work with, you know, to make sure that the condition is in the planning board decision. So it's not a problem.
well, Councilor Christine, as I mentioned to you at the subcommittee meeting, that this is the type of technology that we want in Burlington, that we dot every I, we cross every T, and we work very closely and very cooperatively with places like Azure, and we're very happy to work on this, to the point that I know you're going to want to get up and running very quickly, and we can talk about that at our next meeting, how we're going to accomplish that. For anybody watching, they probably know what I'm talking about, is the Board of Health has a warrant article in the next town meeting, which is coming up the end of January, to create another new position on the Board of Health staff who will handle the majority of the biotech and expedite. I think that one of your managing partners mentioned to me the other day that he knew about that, Mr. Buckley. So we're serious about it, and we're very happy, and we're very impressed with Mr. Samavradam. I'm sorry, I heard you. Sam Adevan. How do I pronounce it, Ravi?
It's Samavedam.
Samavedam. Thank you. I won't mispronounce it again. And thank you, Director Christine. Thank you for the presentation. Last call. Is there anybody here that has any other questions? I think we've got a very few open issues that we will work on. You will be back at the next meeting for a final vote. Is there anything else that anybody would like to say on your turn, on your side, Christine, Dr. Christine? Are you all set?
We're set. We'd like to thank you for working with us. I feel like we've had very productive meetings, and I think we're going to have a great relationship going forward. So I'm good. Thank you.
Thank you. And Mr. DiPietro, are you all set with us?
I am fine, but any questions, I'm readily available. Please feel free to call or email or whatever.
Thank you. And Marlene, Christine, environmental engineer, Susan Luminello, our director. Anything else? Everybody's saying no. And the last, our board. David, Dr. Wayne, Libby, Mary Beth. Is there any other last questions?
You know, Mr. Chair, the only thing I'm thinking of is that, you know, this is going to be a unique endeavor, especially with work that might be done in non-traditional business hours near fire station number 2. So is this going to be, I don't know, is there going to be some sort of advocacy for at least making sure that materials and information is available to just thinking to that area to make sure that there's a good understanding of what is happening there, and as things progress and change, just in the interest of transparency and safety.
Thank you. That's an excellent question. Our clients are not allowed to operate the facilities or be on site without an Azure counterpart. So Azure will have a staff member on site at all times while our clients are there. And that's part of the scheduling process we go through. We've already met with members of your Chamber of Commerce, and we've invited your staff to come and tour our facility. And one of our next steps is we're going to make sure we engage with the fire department as well. We also think that's very important, just to have that good relationship and make sure that we are working safely together.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Do I have a motion, please, to continue this till the next meeting?
So moved.
Second.
I have motion by Dr. Salzman, second by David McSweeney. All in favor? Mr. McSweeney,
Aye.
Dr. Salzman,
Aye.
Libby Wallen-Jevitz,
Aye.
Mary Beth Welch,
Aye.
and I vote aye. Thank you so much. 5-0. Dawn, thank you so much. We got through a lot of what we needed to get through tonight.
Thank you
So,
very much, Mr. Chair, and members of the board. Thank you for your very thoughtful comments and questions. And we'll see you on the 26th.
it'll be a learning experience for both of us, and we welcome it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night. Our next agenda item is the 2021 Board of Health meeting schedule. I have looked at it. I hope everyone's looked at it. We need to, Susan, do we need to pass that? Do we need a vote?
Mhm.
I
She
move to
nods,
approve.
yes.
Yes, she did. I move to approve the Board of Health 2021 meeting schedule.
Second.
And I have a motion by Mr. McSweeney, second by Ms. Welch. Any other discussion? If not, all in favor? David McSweeney,
Aye.
Wade Salzman,
Aye.
Libby Wallen-Jevitz,
Aye.
Mary Beth Welch,
Aye.
and I vote aye, 5-0. Thank you. Staff reports. We are honored tonight to have somebody that we don't necessarily have here every meeting. We have the health agent, Marlene Johnson. Thank you very much for coming.
Good evening. So before I go over my report, I understand that there were a couple of questions during your last meeting regarding HMOD. I think Mr. McSweeney and Dr. Saltzman had some questions about the temporary suspension of the variance.
Yes, thanks, Marlene. Thanks for reminding me.
Yeah, the evisceration
Evisceration, yeah.
has been something, has been an issue since they started, I think. So I was just wondering about that.
Sure. So the last time actually that they had their variance suspended was in 2015. So it was 5 years ago. And this most recent inspection being the second time that it was suspended, the violation was not the same violation that we had 5 years ago. The violation this time was when I was conducting the inspection, I reviewed the logs and I was looking specifically at their tanks. So they have finfish and they have eels. So they have tanks that they store these finfish and eels in. So part of their HACCP plan is that they have to keep logs. They have to record temperatures of the tanks. So the log was complete and I saw the temperatures there, 50, 51 degrees. I then looked to see where the thermometers were. So there were a total of 8 tanks and 4 were in use. And I saw digital thermometers in 2 tanks. And then I saw 2 tanks and I couldn't find the thermometers. So I asked the fish department manager, because he was the one that recorded the temperatures. And I asked him, where are the thermometers that you use to get your temperatures? And the store manager was with me at the time. The fish department manager couldn't find the thermometers. So that told me that he dry docked the temperatures on the log. And so it was because of that, because I felt that because he was the fish department manager, he shouldn't be doing that. I took my food thermometer and I tested the water myself. And according to the HACCP plan, the water needs to be between 45 and 55 degrees Fahrenheit. And if it's over 55, it's considered a corrective action. So one of the tanks was fine, and the other tank was 65 degrees. So he needed to do a corrective action, which is just simply remove the finfish from one tank to another tank that was at the proper temperature. But as I mentioned, because of that, here's a manager that clearly wasn't doing what he was supposed to be doing, I temporarily suspended the variance until they had their food consultant come in and do a retraining. I also contacted their corporate office and I spoke to their food safety director, and I let him know what was going on as well. And so he told me that their food consultant is going to include that part of the evisceration operation in his monthly audit. So an audit is like an inspection, a food inspection. So I did go back for a re-inspection and everything was in compliance. We're not going to have any more problems. And if we do, they understand that they will be coming before the board. And at that point, the board can revoke this variance. But I don't think we're going to have any more problems.
That's great, Marlene. Thanks for the
You-
follow-up. I appreciate it. I remember the license being suspended one other time, so it must have been back in 15. But I also remember another issue that got raised at some point in time. So again, I just want to make sure that we're, obviously serving in eviscerating the eel safely, as it's, I think it's the only establishment in town. So I appreciate the follow-up on that.
Sure.
Thanks, Marlene.
You're welcome. And then just to let the board know, our retail tobacco permits were all renewed. So we have a total of 22 tobacco retail establishments and we have one 21 plus tobacco store. So all of those were renewed this year. And we continue to communicate with all the food service establishments with all of these changes, the governor's orders. The most recent one that you're probably aware of is that Governor Baker extended the current executive order with the 25% occupancy and with the restaurants, 25% of seating on their pre-COVID total seating for the restaurant. So we've been communicating, sending out emails to all the restaurants, and we take calls if there's any questions there. And lastly, I wanted to let the board know that I've been helping with the Maven and the contact tracing with the positive cases. And I've been participating in the COVID vaccine clinics that we had today and that we'll be having this week and next week. Are there any questions?
Any questions? I have a statement first. We have, as you saw, two two-week reports, and it's amazing how busy you are. As you know, I count everything, and you had 37 COVID-related issues that you took care of in those few weeks. Were any of them warrant a fine?
No, most of them were educational. Also, some of them were just questions around the standards, the safety standards, the governor's orders, things like that. Reporting COVID positive employees.
And the other question I have, are you in a position, or is our director in the position, so we can handle any questions with the associate health inspector's report, which goes hand in hand with the health agent? Do you want, Susan?
Yeah, this is Susan. Yeah, we can do that. A lot of what the associate health inspector is doing now is the case investigations for the positive COVID cases. So she's working on that. That's taking up a lot of her time right now. And any other complaints that we have coming in, if we had any housing complaints or trash complaints, that type of thing, she's taking care of that. But if there is any questions, we can certainly answer.
Does anyone have any questions for Marlene? Marlene, thank you for everything. Thank you what you did today. Wow, You got a lot done. Thank you for everything.
You're welcome.
Okay, which brings us, thank you, you're welcome. It brings us to environmental engineer,
No, motion to approve.
Christine
health-
Mathis. Oh, I'm
Hold on, Mr.
sorry,
Chair.
motion to
Yep,
approve.
Second, I'll second.
I have a motion by Dr. Salzman, second by Mr. McSweeney. All in favor? Mr. McSweeney,
Aye.
Dr. Salzman,
Aye.
Libby Wallen-Jevitz,
Aye.
and Mary Beth Welch.
Aye.
Okay, so let's move on to the environmental engineers report. You have been very busy also.
Thank you.
Please,
Good
can you please summarize, Christine?
Sure. Good evening again. So a lot of what I've been doing has also been COVID related. I'm responding to most of the COVID related complaints and investigations that are not directly related to restaurants. I have done a couple of the restaurants as well when Marlene's been overwhelmed with other stuff. And I've also been responding to a lot of the COVID-related questions from impacted businesses. So that would be related to the temporary capacity limit reductions at various industries, museums, gyms, offices, retail, etc. As you can see by the summary of my complaints and investigations, a lot of these were positive employees being reported to us, but not by the company who had the positive employee. That is a Massachusetts requirement that a Burlington business report if they are aware of a positive employee or client. In every case where I followed up with that company, they were not aware of that requirement. In almost every case, they had already done their own internal contact tracing to determine close contacts. So that took a lot of research and documentation to make sure that they were aware of what they had to do. And that's about it. I also participated I am participating in the vaccine clinics and just doing my other regular stuff. Any questions?
Hi, Mr. Chairman. Christine, I have one.
Please.
I have one question. I noticed under your investigations, I'm just noticing it again, it just seems to be a repeat, for the last couple of years, 210 and 212 on Fox Hill, in discharging of the sump pump. And I'm sure you have, but have we offered a alternate solution for them to redirect? And like I said, I'm sure you have, but it just seems to keep coming up.
Well, I went out there the day after this was called into us, and I did not witness it occurring at either of these locations. Neither of them had a pump out, a pipe or a hose out on those days, and I didn't see any evidence of discharge. So, not to say that it didn't happen, but I was not able to witness it.
You didn't notify.
In the past, the 212 has been, or one of them, I can't remember which one, has been an often repeat offender, and they've been sent order letters many times that direct them to implement a permanent solution. So we have done that.
And what have we done, Susan, like in the past when you have continuous repeat offenders?
Well, in this case, we can't say that it was a repeat
Well,
offense because
she didn't
we
notice.
didn't.
Yeah. Mhm.
Right.
Okay.
But we do have a policy in place that some pumps, I think it was about a year ago, David worked with us on making that, putting that policy together when we do have repeat offenses for some pumps.
Yep, I remember that. I'll review it. Okay, thank you.
Just remember, we took someone to court
Yep.
within the last year and a half or so.
Yeah, it was one of those addresses for sure.
Yeah, and that's what I was hoping that, like you said, a solution to redirect or.
I just want to point out also that Christine Mathis has been involved in demolition permits, pre-renovations. She's been talking development issues, investigations, and certificates of occupancy. You know, we on top of what we have with COVID, she would have been busy anyway. And I think we've been pointing that out to the community over and over again. We're close to max without COVID, and COVID just added about 1,000% more work on us, but we're getting it done. So thank you so much, Christine, for what you did today. Am I going to get a call from somebody tomorrow, do you think?
I sent the email today, yes, so hopefully he'll respond.
Yeah, I handle some of the toughies. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, just one comment. And I agree. Thank you to all the staff. And we've, don't haphazardly recognize them almost every single meeting. It's just we are at our max or overall max because we're working more than 100% of working time to get these things done. So I do appreciate their efforts there for sure. Just one comment. I was going through all the COVID complaints. Unless I missed it, I have not, since they've been in front of the board, seen one from Lifetime Fitness. And since we're, at least I have been vocal on their repeat offenses, I do want to recognize them and appreciate them for whatever they're doing to minimize the complaints. And hopefully Christine or Susan's not going to speak up saying, "Oh, we just got one in." But I do want to recognize them and appreciate the efforts around that. I do think we have a good working relationship with them, and hopefully they've addressed their issues. And it's good to have not seen them on the reports in the last couple of months.
Thank you. If there are any other questions, if not, could I have a motion to approve the environmental engineers report?
So moved.
So I have a motion by Libby Wallen Jeffords. Who seconded it, please? Wave your hand. Who seconded it?
Second.
I'll second it. I didn't.
Thank you very much. To Mary Beth Welch. A motion, a second. If no other discussion, all in favor. David McSweeney.
Aye.
Dr. Wayne Salzman.
Aye.
Libby Wallen Jeffords.
Aye.
And Mary Beth Welch.
Aye.
And I vote aye 5-0. And lastly, I have an explanation. We have a Director of Public Health report tonight. It's going to be oral. I can't tell you how busy our director is. From every aspect of what this Board of Health does in the community, Susan is involved. From New Year's Eve to New Year's Day, to me calling her every single day. Sometimes she calls me multiple times. Susan is so busy. She had not had the time, and I fully agreed with her that she could give an oral report today because it takes a long time to write these, and she's out straight. If you had seen her today with our professional staff, of every member of our professional staff, many of which are on this call, you saw how busy she was setting up the first COVID clinic for first responders in this community. So, Susan, I am looking forward to, and I acknowledge that you're going to give a oral report today.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So I will have a written report at the next meeting. Like the chairman said, I was not able to get it done in spite of Sarah's gentle reminders to me 2 or 3 times. Are you going to finish your report? So, but I just was not able to get that done. But I will get it done for the next meeting, and then I'll have 2 reports for approval for the next meeting. But I can offer an oral report on what has been going on, and I think the main impetus of not being able to get it done is the fact that we had to set up the COVID-19 clinics for the emergency responders. So that's a lot of the work that I've been doing recently. We had to give an application to the Mass Department of Public Health to become a vaccination site. And that included a lot of different pieces that we had to put together as far as making sure we had the correct information in MIIS. We had to get on the, it's called PrepMod software. So it's a special software to use for these clinics. And Sarah and Samantha and I were trained on PrepMod, did extensive training on it in a short period of time so that we could get it up and running for the clinics. Everyone today who used it said it worked really well. There is no more paper copies anymore like we used to have. Everything is going to be done electronically. So today we had 3 dispensers, and each dispenser had a technical person with them with an iPad. And when somebody received a vaccine, we were able to check them off and use this PrepMod software. So I think it's going to work out really well. We're going to continue to use it in the future for the COVID-19 clinics. So we have set up, we invited first responders from Burlington first, and also those MRC volunteers who are COVID-19 facing. In other words, they help out with our vaccination clinics. We invited them to get vaccinated. And we've also been getting calls from other first responders outside of Burlington who can't come here to get the vaccine. It's just that we want to make sure we get all of our first responders signed up first. So we're almost there at that process, and we're going to be ready to open it up to other first responders. We're getting a lot of calls from the public about getting the vaccine. And there's information on our website that links you to the Massachusetts Department of Public Health vaccine distribution timeline that changes on, I think on Tuesdays and Thursdays, they provide updates to that. So right now we're in phase 1, we're in the first part of phase 1, where we're giving to emergency responders and COVID facing volunteers and workers. The next phase will go down to non-COVID facing healthcare workers like dentists and other types of doctors' offices. And then after that phase, we move into the beginning of phase 2. So we're going to keep working on it. And I anticipate that a lot of our time is going to be spent on giving out the COVID-19 vaccine. And we have our staff now is all trained on the use of the PrepMod software and how we're going to run the vaccine clinics. And as we move forward, we're going to bring in some of our MRC volunteers, especially with using PrepMod, so that they can be trained on how to use that and can sit next to the dispensers during the clinics. So with that, I guess I can answer any questions.
Susan, you didn't ask the question you were going to ask everybody. If anybody on this call, any of the board members, are not actively using their iPads, I know sometimes they're not appropriate for some of the things we're involved in. We really can use them back. Susan needs them for the clinics. So if there's anybody here who has not been using their iPad and can get along without it, we could really use it as we vaccinate our first responders first, and then everybody else. So if you can, please either raise your hand now or call Susan if we can pick it up.
I'm more than
Okay.
happy to donate mine back, Ed.
Me as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I guess you're going to get 3 or more back.
I would give mine, but I found out today that it's so old that it can't even update to get the, the civics thing.
All right. So how do you want to handle this? How are we going to get them back, Susan? Call you? And...
Yeah, if you want to call us, maybe we can arrange for some type of contactless pickup. Maybe if you just leave it out on the steps, we can come get it.
Perfect, whatever works.
Okay,
It's fine
great.
with me.
All right, anybody else? Any other questions for Susan?
With all that you've been doing, I thought the
Well-
oral report was great. Thank you.
Yeah, and just to add to that, just some more things that we've been doing, as Christine mentioned, when we've been doing a lot of assistance with local businesses and with people who are COVID positive. So we get sometimes, or a lot of the times, we get calls from people who say, I tested positive, now what do I do? So we actually are sometimes, and a lot of the times, we get cases in before we actually even get the lab results. And the phone is just constant, and I give kudos to Sarah too, because she answers the phone all day, that's constantly ringing, and does all kinds of other stuff too. So the whole staff is really working hard, and I just appreciate them so much, because we wouldn't be able to get so much done without everybody putting in 100%, and they are.
Good, thank you. I guess we can get a motion to approve the Director of Public Health report.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion from Dr. Wayne Saltzman, second from, was that you, Libby?
Yes, it was.
Libby Wallen-Jevitz. All in favor? David McSweeney,
Aye.
Wayne Saltzman,
Aye.
Libby Wallen-Jevitz,
Aye.
Mary Beth Welch,
Aye.
and I vote aye. That's 5-0. Well, that's the end of our agenda, but I'd like to do something different tonight. I'd like to give everybody, and go through the list, to give everybody a minute or two, if there's anything they want to bring up, say, as the first meeting of the new year, anything involved in this meeting, this year, last year, coming year, whatever, almost like a good and welfare. I think we'd like to do that for the first meeting. So I'll start with, I'll go backwards as Mary Beth Welch. Do you have anything?
Yep. Again, I want to thank the entire staff. I also want to thank my board members. I think that, as you said, Ed, in every meeting, I think last year has showed what we can do as a board and what we can do as a staff, not just for regular business, but when something strikes us that's not expected. So I'm looking forward to a happy, healthy 2021, and as you said, get back to in-person meetings. But I think we did well regardless of that. So I'm proud to be part of the board, and I appreciate the staff very much. And I don't call Susan as much as you, but I do call her, and I appreciate every time. And she's probably protecting the rest of the staff from me calling them. But thank you so much I appreciate your support and you're educating me as I've been on the board. So thanks again.
Thank you. Libby Wallen-Jevitz, anything tonight?
I'd like to thank everybody, just the way Mary Beth did. I think, you guys do the best job ever. And I appreciate all the things that you do. And the other thing I want to say is that I will not be seeking re-election for the next year. So.
Well, you're not out of the woods yet. We've got some more meetings, but thank you.
It's time
for
to move
everything.
on to something else.
Thank you very much, Libby.
Mhm.
Wayne Saltzman.
Mr. Chair, I was, my wife and I said many years ago that when our careers were a little bit more stable, our goals were to give back to the community, and we have done that for a while, and I consider my ability to serve on this board a privilege, and a really wonderful way to be able to give back. And I was part of that privilege was being able to serve as a physician and in signing the orders that allowed for our first responders to receive the COVID-19 vaccine. So I'm very happy that I'm able to contribute in that way. I am amazed, Mr. Chair, honestly, at how much you have dedicated your time to the town. As I relive, or as I think about my time as chair, I do not think I could have done or would be doing the same work that the same level of work and commitment that you have shown. So I offer you my sincere appreciation. Um, my colleagues, I'm very privileged as well to serve with you. The Board of Health staff has done an amazing job, and I remember many years ago, Mr. Chair, where when we interviewed young Susan Luminello for this role, and we told her that there were going to be big things in her future, and she has stepped up to the plate uh, this whole past year. So. I received my COVID-19 vaccine today. I can tell you that I'm a little bit under the weather from it, to be expected. And I actually am cherishing this, as I know that it's going to allow me and my community to be healthy in the next year. But in the meantime, everyone, until we have reached the point of knowing that our communities are stable, mask wearing, hand washing, social distancing, protecting yourself when you're ill from others are really probably going to be the name of the game for 2021 as well. So I wish everyone wellness and safety. And as Mr. Chairman said at the beginning of this meeting, we are all in this together.
Thank you. You're very kind. Last, David McSweeney, who has been so involved. And is that a suntan you have?
No, it's not a suntan.
Just the lighting.
It is the lighting. And it's tough going last because everybody says all the good stuff, right? But Mr. Chair, I do want to say a couple of things. One, echo what Dr. Saltzman was just saying, that while certainly the staff has worked tirelessly, you certainly put in more than your fair share of hours, and that's putting it mildly. You certainly have gone above and beyond for this community. I don't know, frankly, what we would have done if you were not chair. Certainly, we as a board put in as much time as we can, but certainly you have gone above and beyond, and can't thank you enough. And you've been actually a great mentor to me as a board member, so I appreciate that. I also, and I say this in every meeting, but sincerely appreciate and respect every single staff member that we have, and board member as well. I think at times in every in every board in politics, there are sometimes hidden agendas, and I never once felt like there was any hidden agendas by anybody, either board member or staff member. We really are here for the community and for the town that we love, and I do believe that everybody here loves this town in doing the right thing, and I do appreciate it, and I appreciate that, and I also am very proud to be a member of this board. I look forward to 2021, and not only in hopefully getting COVID, I can't say behind us because I don't think it will be behind us, but managed in an appropriate manner, that we can look forward to other things. And it was exciting today to be talking about Azure, and the biotech uh, company coming into town, because I think that's what Burlington is about. And I'm excited to see what else is coming forward. So very excited about 2021. And lastly, I am sorry, Libby, to hear that you're not running for re-election. I appreciate all the work that you've done on the board, and sorry to see you go. But I also want to say that I am running for re-election this year as well. So you guys are all stuck with me potentially for another 3 years. So just wanted to say that as well. So thank you.
Well, what can I say after that? I am so proud of everybody. What am I going to say? Susan Luminello, Christine Mathis, Marlene Johnson, Samantha Hardy, Christine Pollock, Sarah Kodamash, and Dawn Cathcart. I don't think I forgot anybody. You've all been terrific, as well as so many volunteers in our Medical Reserve Corps. We've got almost 250. This is a well-oiled machine, and hopefully our community understands that, and hopefully our community will provide us additional support. With that, all of us, all be well, be
Motion to
safe.
adjourn. Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
And Wayne, wash your hands.
I said that already. I'm not gonna, everybody knows. Wash.
Wash your hands, the most important thing. With that motion to adjourn, could I have a motion, please?
I think you had one. I second.
Oh, your second, who made, oh, Dr.
Dr.
Sussman
yeah.
made it. The second by Dave McSweeney. All in favor, Dave McSweeney,
Aye.
Dr. Wayne Salzman,
Aye.
Libby Wallen-Jevitz,
Aye.
Mary Beth Welch. Mary Beth,
Sir.
you there, Mary Beth? I vote aye. Mary Beth?
She has a yellow triangle on her screen. I think we lost her.
Mary Beth, are you there? I can't even see you.
Does that mean we can't end this meeting?
Aye.
4-0. Good night, everybody. 4-0-1. Good night, everybody.
Good night.